everyone, and welcome to the Sporting Global podcast. And today we're here with Jorge Gómez from GSIC. Jorge, how are you? How's life in Spain?
Hey, Ole, thank you very much for having me, and thanks for your time. I'm super pleased to be here in this podcast. And well, we are good here in Spain. We are in our GSIC offices right now in the center of Madrid, where we have a very great office with some showcase. And here we are, very looking forward to talk with you, to discuss with you a little bit about different topics of the sports tech industry. So pretty excited.
Yeah, well, I mean, like we're super excited to have you here, and as I said, we're gonna dive a little bit into your background too, as well, and kind of like hear your journey in the sport industry, what you're doing at GSIC, and as well a little bit, of course, like the FootballCan challenge that is, coming up very shortly, and a lot of exciting thing happening in the sports tech world. And before we sort of like move on, like if you're tuning in here now, if you're wanting to learn more tips from people like Jorge, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channels. You will get insights every week, so that's pretty great, so it's always good having some people like guiding you once a week to just hear like, okay, where do I take my step in the sport industry? And I guess, Jorge, you can relate to that too, because it's not easy finding your path in the sport industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've always been a sport fanatic, especially a football fan. I'm from Valencia, which is my hometown, so I support Valencia CF, and I've played football and futsal since I was a kid. Then I started to train and coach some amateur teams. And after finishing my degree, I started a master's in sports management in Valencia, in my hometown. And then I had the opportunity to join the GSIC as an internship while I was finishing my master's.
Yep.
And now I'm here. It's going to be 2 years since I joined the GSIC. I've been making a lot of good friends, very great contacts in the sports industry. I've met a lot of entrepreneurs and startups that are doing amazing things. So
right.
to be honest, the sports tech industry, it's fascinating.
So I mean, like, of course, like you mentioned quite early there, like you're a Valencia FC, football fan and all this, and how was it for you to sort of like, why like sports tech and innovation, in a sense of like, because I assume like in many ways you were like, oh, I want to work with football, right? So like, how did you sort of like open up that scope to say, hey, I'm gonna like look a little bit broader, and GSIC is that great opportunity for me?
Yeah, it's true that I didn't know the GSIC before joining, obviously.
Yep.
So when I was doing my master's, I was very focused more on the business side of sport, on the marketing and commercial management.
Yep.
But then I remember Iris, our general manager, came to the master's. She gave a master class about what was the GSIC, and then I fell in love with the entrepreneurial and the startup world as well. So
right.
I think that the combination of sports and technology and innovation and transforming the society was a perfect combination for me. I fell totally in love with that, and I decided that I needed to be there. And it's true that football is the biggest sport, at least here in Europe. But once I joined the GSIC, I discovered there's a lot of sports that have a lot of commercial opportunities and a lot of potential to grow, and it opened up my mind in this sense. Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. And I think I wanted to just ask that just because I know there's so many people that are like tuning in here and they're like, oh, I want to work with football. I want to work for like Valencia or like, any major team. And then you're just like, well, I mean, like if you look at it as well, and we haven't talked too much about it, but I mean, like the project that we're gonna talk about today too is like directly in towards like football innovation. So I mean, like it just showcases that you can still be a part of one of the things that you love from sports, even like by working for someone else. You don't have to directly work for a football team or a league or something like that. And that I think it is pretty important to highlight. But you are now, of course, like the partner solutions program manager at GSIC, and it's sort of like, if you could give us an overview of like what are your role exactly, and what are some of the key responsibilities and tasks that you're having?
Yeah, so basically my main role right now is especially to coordinate and manage all the different open innovation processes that we run at the GSIC with different partners and corporates such as LaLiga, such as Sport Singapore, which is the national government agency for sport development in Singapore, such as the government of Andorra and the Banco Santander, which is the partner we will talk about later. And my job is basically helping define the challenge or the problem that we want to solve. In the end, an open innovation process is a process where you want to find external help from startups or from tech partners in the ecosystem to help you solve some challenge within your organization. So in this sense, we help, my job is to help define this challenge or detecting what is the problem in terms of digital transformation that these organizations are trying to solve. And then we elaborate the legal basis of participation for this challenge. We create the basis, the form for the startups to apply. And in the end, we filter different startups through different stages. And in the end, we have this, we try to do this matchmaking between the winners of the challenge and the corporate or the partner that it's going to work with them in order to develop pilot projects. So in the end, what we're looking is to create synergies between startups and tech companies out there and the sports entities and corporates and organizations that are looking to implement those innovative solutions to their organizations. That's my main role. Also, as you know, we are powered by Microsoft. So from a Microsoft perspective, I'm also responsible of helping the startups and tech companies that are part of the ecosystem to access to the different Microsoft technologies, especially the cloud services, the Azure cloud, but also other resources, other marketing and commercial resources that Microsoft offers through different programs, such as the Microsoft Partner Network or Microsoft for Startups. So that's my two roles right now at the GSIC.
A nice mix of sports innovation and technology.
Yeah, definitely, exactly.
No, but that's great, and I mean, like, I think, you know, one of the initiatives, you know, at GSIC this year is obviously the FootballCan challenge, and like, could you sort of like give us an overview of like what this project is all about, and sort of like what is sort of like the main goal of this challenge, and how did it also come up?
Yeah, so we are running this project with Santander Bank, with Banco Santander in Spanish. As you may know, they're one of the biggest sponsors in the sports industry. And their philosophy when sponsoring the main football competitions, in this case, like LaLiga, UEFA Champions League, and CONMEBOL, is to generate a positive impact in society, through football. So this is the philosophy that they call FootballCan, which is the name of the challenge. And in fact, they even developed a device called Field, which is a kind of surface that allows blind people to follow the movements of the ball and its trajectory during a preloaded section of play using their fingertips. So they wanted like to take a step further in this project or in this philosophy and envision how football will look like in 20 years. So they partner with us, with the GSIC, to find innovative solutions, ideas, or projects that can help improve football in three main axes. The first one, inclusion. The second one, diversity. And the third one, sustainability. As well as improving the capabilities of this already existing device that they created called Field. So we are counting with a very impressive pool of juries for the grand final. We have representatives from LaLiga, from Microsoft, UEFA, CONMEBOL, Twitter, ESPN, Marca, Common Goal, which is the foundation led by Juan Mata, the footballer, and even Ronaldo Nazário, which former football player, who will be part of this jury. It's an amazing jury because he's one of Santander's global ambassadors. And also the prices for the startups, I think it's super interesting. We're offering 10,000 euros in cash, the possibility to run a pilot project with a mentoring program valued at another 10,000 euros, and also a free GSIC membership. And also, if any of the winners can apply its solutions or its ideas or its projects to improve the capabilities or the functionalities of this prototype of field, and they will get an extra 5,000 euros in cash. So, you know, we have partnered with a very powerful brand in this sense that it's looking to impact football and society in a very positive way. Right. And that's the idea of the challenge, to look for solutions and projects that can help improve football in the upcoming years, in inclusion, diversity, and sustainability.
No, it's a really interesting challenge, and I mean, like, if there's any startup out there, I think that are within that space, you know, you should definitely, you know, go and apply for it. And like you said, there's, you know, a strong mix of corporate and, you know, innovative partners, right? That are like, okay, we're here to actually wanting to make an impact. And I guess also, like, with the pandemic, you know, being here, it was sort of like another steps of, okay, how do we, you know, ensure that the sports will continue running, you know, in these challenging times? Because I mean, like, if we're going to be honest, it's probably not going to be the last pandemic we will come across in the future. True. So it's good to have those kind of stuff in the back of your mind and try to, you know, spawn out the future as much as you can. So I think it's a really interesting challenge. And I mean, like, obviously, you know, we're getting really close to the deadline. It's only like a few days left. And for just like a little bit on, you know, if people want to apply now, and startups, of course, like, what are some tips that you have in mind for them, and like, how exactly can they apply on the challenge?
Okay, so basically, in order to apply for the challenge, you can, startups and entrepreneurs that have these innovative ideas can visit the official website of FootballCan 2041 challenge. You can just Google FootballCan 2041 and it will appear.
We'll make sure to put it in the link in the video
that's
as
perfect.
Well. But yeah,
that's perfect. And then you will find there all the information, the legal basis to participate, the calendar, the prices, and the link, obviously, to the application form. So my recommendation or my tip when applying is to really focus on how your project or your idea or your solution can help solve the challenges. So detail and describe very well how you can address the challenge. So for example, for inclusion, try to focus on how you can make football more fair and accessible, paying special attention to people with disabilities, providing, for example, responsible solutions in terms of accessibility to stadiums or to sport venues, and also solutions about education related to football, so that vulnerable groups at risk of social or economic exclusion can enjoy football. Also for diversity, for example, try to describe very detailed how your project or solution can integrate and promote equality and equity through football, no matter race, no matter gender, sexual orientation, religion, or nationality. In the end, we want everyone to enjoy and experience football like never before. And also in terms of sustainability, which is more related probably with climate change, you know, focus on how you can make football more responsible with the environment, and how stadiums can have this sustainable management of energy and resources. So those three areas are very complex and abstract areas, but in the end, there's a lot of potential and there's a lot of things that we can do in those areas. So my recommendation when applying to the challenge is, again, to really focus on how you can help solve those challenges, how your solution or your project can address the problematic that we are facing.
Right. So technically just like narrowing down as much as you can. So, I mean, like, obviously, say like you're a startup that maybe like fits in one of those categories. Like, do you sort of like keep that in mind that, okay, like your area, say like you're solving a problem in diversity, you don't really necessarily have to solve anything in those others, or do you like have to like sort of like fit into within those three like scopes, I guess, in a sense? Like,
you can choose one of the three areas. I mean, if your solution or your project is covering the three areas, excellent. But the main idea is try to focus on one of those three, because in the end, we're going to select three winners, and each of the winners will be coming from each of these three areas. Okay, so I suggest, if I don't know if there's a solution that it's improving the way stadiums are managing the water, for example, or the energy with solar energy systems. Try to apply only for sustainability. If there's something more related to like the field device, which is aimed for blind people to follow the match, this would be going to inclusion. Okay, so try to focus on one area, but be like very, very good at it.
Yeah, but I think like, because a lot of the startups, like, and obviously, you know, I'm a startup, I've been applying for a lot of different things before too. And you sort of like just, you want to like, you think you sort of like want to fit it within like all of it. And, you know, so like showcase, but like I do a little bit there, or do a little bit there, or do a little bit there, right? And then it's just like good, like having that, no, but actually like it's more important that you're having like okay, this is exactly what we're narrowing on, and this is what we're focusing on. And now the ones that are listening to this will sort of like, no, okay, you know, I should focus on like one area, and this is how we, you know, solving that. And of course, as you said, if they're helping, you know, with inclusion, and, you know, they have like some sustainability actions as well, like from a, you know, minor perspective, and of course, like that's great, but have like your key focus. And I think that's a really great advice to share, and something for a lot of you to think about when you're applying. And a little bit about the application process. Like, is it like several steps, or like how is, once you apply, like what happens sort of like next there?
Yeah, okay. So once you apply, we will be reviewing all the applications so that they meet the basic requirements or the basic criteria. You can read this criteria at the legal basis, but basically after this application period that we will close in some days, we will invite, or we have already invited, some experts from the industry as evaluators. That will analyze and will evaluate those startups, and they will filter those startups until we have top 30. Okay, so once we have the top 30 semi-finalists, let's say, they will go through another stage or phase that will go with Santander and the GSIC ourselves. We will be evaluating and assessing those top 30, and we will be filtering the best 10 startups that are the ones who will go to the final. And these 10 startups, the final will be on May 17. And those 10 finalists will have the opportunity to pitch, obviously, their projects and their solutions in front of the jury that I was mentioning before, Microsoft, LaLiga, UEFA, so different experts from the industry. And then on that same day, we will select the three winners of the challenge. And everything, we will be posting everything as well in our social media channels. You can follow GSIC on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And we are all the time posting and informing about the progress of the challenge, as well as other initiatives and activities that we carry out. But you can stay tuned there.
I think it's important for people to know, you know, sort of like, okay, what are the next steps, right? Of what's happening, and May 17th, you know, is the big day, I guess. And I mean, like, just a fun fact there, I don't know if you know, but May 17th is our national day here in Norway.
Oh, really? Okay, so that's I mean, that's not a coincidence. I really believe in destiny, so, and in fate, so I'm sure that
I feel like, you know,
it means something good for sure.
We're already gonna be there.
Okay.
No, but yeah, so moving a little bit on though, because I think, like, of course, you know, there's of course like startups listening to this, and there's founders, but there are also like some students, some professionals like soaking in a lot of knowledge here, and I mean, like, maybe they don't have like an innovative idea yet, or they're not in that status, but they want to just like see, okay, how is the process of this challenge going, right? Because it's a very interesting football challenge that is happening with Santander, as you said, and how can they sort of like follow, I guess, the progress of the challenge? And is there, you know, I don't know, like, how would you like, are you guys streaming like the final? Like, what are some thoughts like that are happening here for, like, say, like from an audience, you know, curious student perspective that maybe want to like try to, I don't know, keep themselves in the loop a little bit?
Yeah, we're working in this sense with Santander and their partners from creative agencies to
Yeah.
obviously to create a lot of content around the challenge. So there's some things that are a little bit confidential, so I cannot
Yeah,
disclose a lot
no,
of
but you
things.
only,
But
you only say what you can say, you know,
yeah,
there's
yes, I
no
know.
worries.
But we will be creating different contents around the challenge. In fact, a couple of days ago, we appeared in the El Chiringuito, which is a TV program very focused on football here in Spain, which it's one of the most viewed sports program here in Spain. So we're trying to build and to create different contents and different video peels and some, let's say, documentaries around the challenge that we will be releasing throughout the process, and
Right.
especially after, not only throughout the process, but when we finish the final and we select the winners.
Yeah.
So around end of May, June, we will be posting a lot of content and a lot of videos and things. And you can keep
Awesome.
posted and updated in our social networks. And
Yeah.
as I said, in Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And we're all the time posting the process and the progress of the process, so you can be aware of what are the next steps and what is going on, and when are we announcing the different winners in each of the stages.
That's yeah, I mean, like it's a great way to kind of like keep a track, and I guess like everyone is super exciting to see you know, who might end up at some point as one of the winners, and what kind of case studies and projects that they will, you know, help benefit, you know, the program. I guess like there's one question that just popped in my head though, like say, because obviously this is, you know, very like Spanish oriented in a sense, like with the partners and GSIC, you know, being Spanish and all this stuff, and is this sort of like open for like any startup like globally, or like how is the thought process in that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's true that I was mentioning the Spanish program and all of this, but the call is aimed for global startups and entrepreneurs. So any startup or company from any country of the world is very welcome to apply to this challenge. It's true that obviously Santander as a bank, they are from Spain originally, and they have strong presence in Latin America as well, and in the UK too. But in the end, we are aiming for solutions and startups from any part of the world. We already have some applicants from Trinidad and Tobago, from Norway, actually from South Africa, China, Japan. So many countries. So yeah, feel free to reach out and to apply, no matter which country are you right now.
That's great. I mean, like you got to just soak in, you know, the opportunities globally, and
Yes.
I mean, like for any startup out there, is a great chance, right, to just tap into like major brand and a major challenge that is going to be important for the next, you know, 20 years or so, hopefully. Yeah, as sort of like a final tip, I guess, like a little bit to wrap this up, and sort of like, what tips do you have for like sports startups that are trying to break through, like I guess in like just, you know, you're meeting a lot of walls, you know, especially as a startup as well, like just like trying to like, you know, breaking some barriers, trying to like, you know, get your foot in, and just saying, hey, we're disrupting, or we're changing something, and what kind of tips do you have for them, like trying to like break those barriers in a sense, and how can sort of like programs, I guess, like the FootballCan help, you know, them to do so?
Yeah, so first of all, I think that innovation, we need to take into account that innovation is not only about creating new technologies or new products, but it's also about using existing technologies to create new business models, which is something very important. So the sports tech industry in particular is growing super fast. I mean, you can find lots of startups focused on improving the performance of elite players and athletes, improving the engagement with the fans and the monetization opportunities for sports entities, improving the operations in the stadiums and in sports venues, and even the internal business processes of the sports entities. So there's a lot of competence, but in the end, there's a lot of, at the same time, there's a lot of opportunities. So my tip for any sports startup that it's beginning now in this world, in this path. And actually, my tip for any other startup from any other industry is to follow this lean methodology. Probably you've all heard about Eric Rice and this lean startup thing,
right.
And you probably are thinking, okay, we've already read that book, but you would be surprised on how many startups don't have any idea of what is lean startup and what is this methodology, and they think that they have a great product, they have a great service, the solution is the best in the world, but they have no idea if the customers or if the market is going to accept that and if it's going to be successful. So my tip here is read Lean Startup from Eric Rice. That's first of all. And in the end,
already done.
Exactly. I knew that. But in the end, try to find a problem that anyone hasn't solved yet, or that even doesn't exist yet. Discover then who will be your customer, obviously, and then create a strong value proposition and added value to the market, and test and validate your hypothesis by creating this MVP, right? This minimum viable product. So because this is going to allow you to reduce a lot of costs at the beginning, and then also change or pivot your strategy very quickly in case you don't find your market from the beginning. So my recommendation is keep things easy as well. Try to not use too much money that you don't have yet. That's another tip. And in the end, the good thing about startups is that in a very unpredictable environment, they can quickly change their strategies, not like big corporates that they have to go under a lot of long processes. So I really encourage all the startups in any industry, but obviously specifically in the sports industry, to find a problem or to find some niche that anyone hasn't been there yet, and try to test your products and your ideas and your hypotheses by failing as well. So it's part of the process.
That's definitely part of the journey. It's just making sure that the mistakes you're doing isn't as costly. That's the key lesson. But yeah, I mean, like we always say, like we have like this mantra. It's like the ability to do more with less. That's if you do that, you can go pretty far with very little. So that should always be the goal of any startup, at least from our side. And yeah, I mean, like it's some very, very good tips. And I mean, like we're as a final message, I guess, out there, like if also there's any out there that maybe are not in the startup world as a founder or has like a startup but want to be part of the innovation. I know that GSIC are actually looking for some people, and you can apply through that on that job opportunity at sportingglobal.com as well. So it's a great way to, like, if you're wanting to be part of the GSIC and maybe take the route as Jorge has done, then there's some great opportunities out there, and make sure to check those out. And like I said, if you enjoyed this video, we would really appreciate if you liked it. Maybe drop the comment, and of course subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And with that, Jorge, I would like to thank you, so much for taking the time. And it was a pleasure having you part of this, learning more about you, about the FootballCan challenge, and yeah, I don't know if you have any final comment.
No, I thank you very much, Ole, for inviting me to your podcast. I had a very great time, and I hope that people like this content and the conversation that we had. I think is very interesting, and I really encourage everyone that has these innovative ideas or projects to apply for the FootballCan challenge, and I'll be happy to help as well any startup that doesn't know how to work really. In order to apply for the challenge or to know more about the GSIC and the sport tech industry. I'm super happy to do that. And thanks again for having me today.
Absolutely, Jorge. And I mean, like I have to learn you some Norwegian at the end though, because I don't know if you know, but every video we do, we always finish with "Vi snakkes," which means see you later in Norwegian. So
okay,
now you know some Norwegian.
Okay, I will try to practice it.
All right, Jorge, we'll talk soon, and have a good day.
Thank you very much, Ole. Bye bye.
Bye bye.